My name is Jessica Ray, and I have the honor of serving as the Senior Director of Experiential Learning and Career Development, which oversees service learning, internships, and career development. And internships and career development are who is joining us today. And so now I'm going to hand it over to actually Ashley to quickly introduce herself, and then Rose, we'll have you introduce yourself.
My name is Ashley Droz. I am the director of the Office of Internships and Cooperative Programs at FGCU. So I work with 3 different groups of people. I work with employers to get connected to our students and to resources, but I also work with our students and our faculty and staff on anything internship related.
Fabulous. All right, and I am Rose Fuller. I'm the Director of Career Development Services, and I am doing a big portion of this today because a lot of it has to do with recruiting, and most of the recruiting starts in our office. And so let me give you an idea real quickly about our agenda, what we're going to talk about today. So we're going to talk about building your brand on campus, different kinds of engagement opportunities. How does service learning fit in with this big picture? Ashley's going to talk a little bit about the difference between what is an internship versus a part-time job. And then we're going to tell you some new fun initiatives that are happening this next academic year and ways that you can connect. Okay, so let's get started here. All right, when we're talking building your brand, and so that's something really important to think about because it is about connecting with our students. And the biggest thing I can emphasize is recognition and excitement. Those first 2 bubbles that are on this slide. Those are the biggest things that are really going to help increase your brand. And how do I do that? Well, a couple of things are, number one, the very bottom one, it needs to be a multi-tiered approach. So you need to think about it as, I can't just show up at a career fair and expect people to remember who I am every year or know what we do, because not everybody goes to the one particular career fair that you went to. So you want to think about that multi-tiered approach idea as something that you're doing a little bit of everything so that you're always around. And then students, again, if you go back to those keywords of recognition and excitement for your roles, that's the something where you're doing a variety of different things to hit a variety of different audiences. So one of those things could be a year-round digital strategy. And we're going to talk a little bit about that and connecting with our social media, but that's also beyond social media. It's staying connected on our Eagle link, which we're going to talk about. And it's making sure that that digital world, whether it's your website, your social media, not just ours, all of that is up to date, it's fresh, it's engaging. Those are some places to really pay attention to. And then I'm kind of working backwards, and then going back to that third bubble is capitalize on the student networks and referrals. So if you're able to say tap into a relevant say student organization, and you have a couple of great workers from that, find a way to make this a really cool pass down kind of role. Really take advantage. Jeff's going to talk about taking advantage even of some of the service learning and how they might start service learning. Maybe they grow to an internship and then that blossoms into a full-time role. And that's kind of that stair-step approach. So really making sure that you're utilizing larger networks of students with the groups and the sororities or the fraternities or the athletic groups or whatever group you're attacking and capitalizing on, and then utilizing that whole referral component. Okay, so let's dive a little bit deeper on what you can do specifically. So everything really starts with us with our job board. And this is called Eagle Career Network. For those of you who have been around for a while, it used to be called Eagle Career Link, but we really felt like this network was a better word to describe what we do. Right there, you can see fgcu.edu/career services is the way to get to our webpage, and then you can link straight to Eagle Career Network there. And so the first thing that's really important for us is that you complete a profile, and it needs to be a complete profile, and you need to go through and make sure that you have thorough information in there, because this is our communication vehicle to you. This is where we do email blasts to let you know what's going on. Sometimes we ask for feedback from you, and our surveys are really important to us because we really want to have an open line of communication with our employers. And you know that you are our best people to go to when we need information of what's going on out there in the community. The second thing that obviously is really important is to post jobs and internships that are attractive. You want those descriptions to work for you so that students are reading through there and thinking, I want to apply to that. That looks interesting to me. That looks like I'm going to learn more. We talked a ton about that in our second chamber. So the one right before this, we have the PDFs for that if you want to review that. So let us know afterwards, but we can send those to you. But it's really important to think about that audience and who you're trying to bring in and what is the win-win component for them. And then another little tip is to update your job postings frequently. And maybe don't post it and say it's open for 6 months, maybe post it for only 3 months and then go on in there and maybe make a few fresh changes, see if there's something that can make it look new and fresh next time it goes up. So that's a really good tip. And then this is also the forum where you're going to register for and pay for all of the events that happen through our office. And that's really important because you need to have that profile completed to be able to get the notice from us that registration is happening so that you can get into our events before they fill up and have that be a smooth process for you. So that's the best way to get started with us. Okay, so then you think, okay, what else can I do? I mean, I go to the career fairs already. You know, it's okay. I get some students there, but maybe I can do more. Well, Recruitment Wednesdays is a great way for you to see our students. This is something that we're excited about, building this brand as well. It used to be just tabling in the Cohen Center. Every Wednesday we would have somebody, an employer there. Well, we're trying to make this a little bit of a bigger event. So tabling on campus generally is in the Cohen Student Union, and that's what the students will eat. But depending on what your preference is and what your niche is for your company, maybe it's more appropriate if you table in the lobby of Marib Health, the health sciences. Maybe that's more appropriate. Maybe it's more appropriate you table in the lobby of the engineering building. I'm not sure what's appropriate for you, but those are other options as well. And we're trying to expand this. Maybe you want to just table out on the library lawn when the weather gets a little bit cooler and you feel like that's a great way to catch other kinds of students walking through. And then the second way is virtual information sessions. You know, a lot of us came out of COVID with some new and innovative ideas, and one of ours was really this wonderful opportunity to get employers to do information sessions virtually, where they are able to answer questions to students, but we're also able to record it and then post it on our YouTube page for future playback, which we think is the best thing ever. So I'm going to actually show you a little snippet of what some of our employers do.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Mary, for having me. I'm actually an FGCU alum 2011. And I was hoping everybody was thinking, you know, wow, I can't believe he graduated 10 years ago. He looks so young, but nobody said it. So as far as Elite DNA, we're actually a behavioral health group. So the DNA is an acronym for the owner's 3 kids, Dylan, Noah, and Asher. And
so that I just wanted to play a quick snippet, but that's kind of how it starts. And that's what it looks like, is that employer will put together like a really brief slideshow, and then they'll talk through it. They'll talk through it with us on a Zoom recording, and it's really informative. And the students at the end ask questions. We turn it on just like these chamber series. We turned it on where everybody can talk, and it's just a really neat opportunity. So I really encourage you that if you want to reach a wider audience, this could be a great way to utilize the virtual environment. Okay, Then we have the career fairs, back to that, and we already talked a little bit about it, but I want to really emphasize the different kinds of career fairs that we have. So we have our biggest career fair of the year. It's always in the Cohen Student Union Ballroom. It's usually over anywhere between 60 and 70 employers. It's our largest event. We usually have anywhere between 300 to 500 students go through our all majors career and internship fair. Usually more students in the spring because more students are graduating in the May semester. And this is one of the best ways to utilize and get in to see interns, people who are looking for internships, and then students with full-time jobs. It's a very professional environment. We've worked really hard over the years to increase the professionalism, the professional dress, the career fair preparation. So we feel like it's a really, really great event. The business school also does a few different events. They're actually trying to put something together in late September this year. So pay attention to the information you might get directly from the business school. Those aren't our events, but we are supporting those events. In addition, the engineering fair, they have an event in the spring, and their students are actually currently managing that. So if you are interested in engineering, that's also not run exactly through our office, but we're happy to support those and help you get connected. But some other events that are really big for our office is the teacher fair, the PR marketing fair, which is always in the spring, and then the part-time job fair is always in August, and it's a great event for us as well. And then finally, we also do small events with a focus concentration. So some of the things that we've done in the past prior to COVID were we did a healthcare event in the Marib lobby, which is our healthcare school. We did a small veterans event for companies that are really excited about hiring veterans. We had an environmental studies companies come in, and we did that very small. I think it was only like 8 employers. We had an arts, music, and theater small event. And then we have a mock interview day that's coming up, which we'll talk a little bit more about. It's a private event through the chambers, which you guys are all chamber members. And so I can tell you more about that. But these are great ways to be connected as well. Okay, let's dive into the social media because it is really big. It's a really big deal, and students are following. They are watching, they are paying attention. We are getting increased following on all of our pieces. As you can see, we have Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. We already talked about our YouTube, but Instagram is definitely our biggest, and that is what the students are on. So it's a great way for you to follow our page, and then we will follow your page. So then the students will see what's happening as well when they're going through and looking at the different things that we post. And then we also sometimes will post sort of blasts of particular job postings that are sort of hot or in great demand, or different kinds of things that we will do. We don't have any really big criteria around that. We also have a lot of interaction on our LinkedIn page, which is obviously the most professional route to go, but we have students who are seeking jobs, connecting with us, they're connecting with you. It's a great way to get really involved if you're trying to build your brand as well. So I strongly recommend, if you don't have a company LinkedIn page, I would strongly recommend you get that. And then our YouTube page is used to house a lot of career content that we have recorded, so students can watch that 24/7. Okay, Instagram takeovers is a new thing, right? We got to keep up on all the new things that are happening. And what does that mean? What does that mean? It means that the company, you out there, you employers, you create a whole bunch of diverse content. It can be fun, splashy things. It can be short little mini videos. And you create it all, you get it to us, and we will post it like I think it's every half hour to hour, depending on how much you create for us. And we will post all of that for you. It's a really cool idea. It's a great way for us to highlight something. If maybe you have a big, huge push, it's a great way for you to get that information out there. Okay. The Navigator, woo! Okay, this is old school, but new school, right? So it's old school because it's full color and it's printed on paper and people like to touch things and open paper and read things. But it's also posted digitally, so somebody can look at it in a digital format. That's really cool too. But it's distributed all year long, but it's only like put together once. This year's deadline is coming up. It's actually August 27th. So if you're excited about getting your ad, it's an ad book basically. It's on sale now. You can call or reach out to Mary. Here is her email address right here on the page. And you can get a fourth of a page, a half page, or a full page ad. And that is hot right now, but it's a great thing. Students totally pick it up. We print them and put them all over campus. So people are utilizing the Navigator. So that's another great way. Again, thinking of the multi-tiered approach of your brand. You're trying to get it everywhere. So it shows up every place that the students are looking. Okay. We also have the Eagle Mentor Program. Okay, this is a neat program. It's a big database called the Alumni Fire, and students are able to connect with professionals here. Now, you don't have to be an alumni to be in this program. You can be a community member, and that's great. It's sponsored obviously by the Alumni Association, but what happens is you go in and you create your profile and you choose all your preferences. It's kind of like Match in a way. So it comes together and it shows the student, like maybe you would want to talk to this person, and then they can decide at what level they want to talk to them. Do they just want to have one conversation? Maybe they want to do an informational interview. Maybe they want to do a job shadow. Maybe they want a longer term mentor relationship. All of that is based on the matches, the profile that the employer puts together and what the student wants. It's a really cool database. It's kind of underused, so we're trying to get more enthusiasm about it. But this is a great way if you're kind of thinking, I need a little bit of a different thing. I have a little extra time, or I want to do it in a little different way. This is another option, okay? And all of that is available. You can connect through all of this through our webpage. Okay, I'm going to throw this to Jess right now.
Yes, perfect. So before I took on the role of Senior Director of Experiential Learning and Career Development, I was the Director of Service Learning for 8 years here at FGCU. So for service learning, I'm talking to everyone out there who's representing a nonprofit, not-for-profit, or government agency. We want you connecting with our students as well, because integrated into every student's educational experience at FGCU is a minimum 80-hour service learning graduation requirement. But look what I wrote in all caps with 4 exclamation points and in fluorescent yellow. That's right, opportunity. And that's exactly how we share it with our students. From the moment they step foot onto the FGCU campus and we're getting them excited about becoming an Eagle, we talk about how service is central to our identity, to who we are, and it's how we're connected in this community. But what we talk about is that service learning is win-win. It is our students partnering with you as a nonprofit, not-for-profit, or government agency in a way that benefits you, meets your needs, brings resources to you. But while that is happening, our students are gaining not only knowledge about local current issues, knowledge about the Southwest Florida community, but also skills from this real world hands-on experience that they're getting to have with you. They're gaining teamwork and communication and problem solving and leadership. All of those skills are so valuable to our students, because when we're sending them off, we don't just want them to know things. We want to send them off being able to do things. So just as Ashley's going to talk to you about coming up, experiential learning is service learning as well as internships, and our students are learning from those experiences and building their resumes from these experiences. Now, just like Rose is talking about building your brand through career development services, resources, the Office of Service Learning has the opportunity for you to build your brand as well. And before I get to those details, what I want you to think of, if you've never connected with FGCU in the form of service learning and recruiting students to engage in service in partnership with your nonprofit, not-for-profit, or government agency, I want you to broaden your thoughts about what that service might look like. So Rose has mentioned, opportunities to partner with students that are perhaps interested in the environmental field. Okay, well, you can do the obvious, where students could be on site at a preserve and they could be removing exotic and invasive species. Well, that's really obvious, and that's direct service. And that's beneficial to you, most likely, if that's a need. And that's beneficial to our students as long as they learn why they're removing those exotic plant species, because that's why it's called service learning, right? But direct service is just one type of service. So as you're thinking about ways to connect with students at FGCU, I want you to realize that you could connect with students through indirect service, and that's everything that's behind the scenes. If they are partnering with you to tutor, well, the tutoring is the direct service, but the indirect might be lesson planning or a supply collection, the recruitment of other volunteers. And that's also connected to advocacy service, which is making this community at FGCU in Southwest Florida aware of your issue, aware of your agency, and educating while they are advocating, and hopefully recruiting additional volunteers or sharing information that's going to result in more sponsorships or more support financially. And then finally, there's community-based research, which is another type of service. So that could be anything from testing water to collecting data through surveys or analyzing data. So there are so many ways that you can connect with our students that's benefiting you, meeting your needs, and then helping educate our students as well. And so if you've heard this and you're like, wow, I'd love to connect with FGCU, or if you're already connected, but you want to think about what Rose has just been talking about, building your brand, take a picture of this website, or I can even put it in the chat box, and you can go to this website and it is going to show you all of the different ways that you can connect and be a co-educator in partnership with FGCU's Office of Service Learning to our students. And once you do, kind of like what Rose said, once you create a profile with the Office of Service Learning, that's how you get the information about events such as the Service Learning Fair. That's how you find out about how you could be a site for a day of service, such as Make a Difference Day. So there are so many smaller programs that the Office of Service Learning offers, just like Career Development Service offers, to help you build and grow your brand. So our students are like, oh yeah, I partnered with them, and then they tell their friends, and then they tell their friends, and then they tell their friends, or you're just present at the events on our campus or through social media. So definitely connect with the Office of Service Learning if you're a nonprofit, not-for-profit, or government agency. And now I'm handing it off to the other half of our office, which is for the experiential learning side, internships, Miss Ashley Droz.
Hi, everybody. For those of you who joined us a little bit more recently, I'm Ashley Droz. I'm the director of the Office of Internships and Cooperative Programs. So now that we've talked a little bit about service learning, there are other types of experiential learning that's open to any type of organization or employer. But also going off of what Rose said and talking about the different ways to recruit, there are other there are different types of positions that you can recruit for. If you're a nonprofit, as Jessica mentioned, you can recruit for service learning opportunities, but I'm going to focus specifically on internships and the difference between those and part-time jobs. So we get a lot of questions about this. I want to offer an internship, or is this a part-time job? Could this be an internship? My office fields a lot of those questions. So we're going to break it down a little bit about the difference between the two, which may help you determine which recruiting strategies you are interested in utilizing through Rose's office and through Eagle Career Network. So at its very definition, an internship is a work-based learning experience. So Jessica mentioned experiential learning, and that's exactly what a student is doing. They are continuing to grow and develop and working on their education through work, which is a little bit different than a part-time job, which is a working experience. So one of the main ways to kind of differentiate that a little bit more is on the second bullet there, that in an internship, yes, the student may be working, but they are also there to learn from an experienced professional. So for instance, if a student is, we like to use social media as an example for this. If you're looking for a student to work on social media for your organization, if they will be learning from an experienced social media professional, then it may qualify as an internship. They're going to be there to not only assist and do work and contribute, but they'll be learning from someone who's been in the field for quite a while. If you don't necessarily have somebody who's an experienced social media professional in your organization and you're hoping that the student will take on that role, that would probably be more of a part-time job. And that is because they're fulfilling that role as opposed to learning about the field and developing their skills. You're probably looking for those skills as the student comes in with, and they should be kind of hired accordingly in that part-time job. The third bullet down is about coursework, right? So a major component of an internship is that a student is getting the opportunity to apply all of the things that they've learned in their coursework, learned throughout their degree program so far, and put it to work in the real world. So they're seeing all those theories, those concepts, all the things that they've presented about or read about in their textbook or taken exams on, whatever it might be. And they're actually getting to watch it play out. They're getting to observe them happen in real time, and they're getting to apply them to hands-on projects. Where that's a little different than a part-time job, which can be related to a student's degree, but it can also be unrelated, right? So it's not necessarily a direct application of their coursework in every instance of a part-time job. An internship is also a stepping stone in a career path. So it's really seen as one of those building blocks where a student is building towards the career in the field that they are hoping to get into. This is in a couple different ways. Not only are they getting experience, for things like their resume or their cover letters, being able to talk about, related experience in an interview, building skills, knowledge, and abilities, building their network, all kinds of ways, right? But it's also a way for them to explore a career path before they, graduate and to a full-time position and really commit to a career path. And so it's meant to be that exploration as well, to try things out, to see what they like, what they don't like. Do I want to keep going full speed ahead? Do I need to pivot a little bit or a lot, right? So really an internship has that exploration piece to it as well. A part-time job can be part of a student's career goals, absolutely, but generally it can be unrelated. So an example of this might be, a student who likes to work in retail, but wants to maybe be an engineer, right? So it can definitely be unrelated to their career goals. We always try and steer students towards opportunities that are somehow related, and in that way, a related part-time job could be part of their career path. But an internship, by definition, is part of their intended career path, and it's one step up until they get to actually enter their field. An internship is generally an intern is generally hired for a finite time frame. So, for example, it may correspond with our semester system. It can definitely be extended past that if it's a really good fit and both you and your intern would like to keep them on. But it's generally understood that, again, this is a stepping stone, and so it's likely going to be about a finite amount of time. A part-time job is where someone is hired to fill a role, but until one party generally disengages. Now, there's of course some exceptions there with seasonal work or whatever that might be. But, a student would probably, expect to stay at a part-time job until they are moving on to a new job or something like that. You would probably expect someone that you hire part-time to stay until you either let them go or they quit, right? So it's definitely a little bit different where an internship, you're probably going to have an end date or at least a reevaluation date to see what the next steps might be. An internship can be paid or unpaid. We, of course, encourage you to pay any interns that you bring on if possible. There are many costs to being a student. And of course, if they're contributing to the work that's being done in your organization, we do appreciate, and the student definitely appreciates, getting a paycheck along with that. However, there are certain instances where an internship can be unpaid if you are unable to pay them. The FLSA, the Fair Labor Standards Act, is a really great resource for that. And once we're done with this slide, I can put that into the chat so that you can see there's almost like a test or a checklist that you can go through to see if, what you're offering is eligible for an unpaid internship, if that's where your needs lie. Part-time job, on the other hand, can't really get away with not paying a part-time hire. So that's one difference as well. And then the last one here that I have is about a student earning academic credit. So an internship may qualify for academic credit opportunities. Please keep in mind that that is determined by our end. So a student would need to connect with someone, probably in my office. I can definitely get them to the right person on campus. But for a student to earn academic credit, they need to have an opportunity that is eligible to enroll in an internship course. So it doesn't necessarily work the way where a student does an internship and then they're awarded credit after it once it's complete. They actually enroll in a class just like any other class on campus, and there is coursework associated with it. So they need to get permission to enroll in those courses through their internship coordinator or my office, depending on where kind of they fall. It's also really important to refer them back to us before, promising any credit or anything like that, because they may have some restrictions or some requirements in their degree program where they really need to get connected. We don't want them to enroll in a course if they don't need to pay the tuition for that course. They may have a required course that they have to take, and if they don't get connected with the right person, they might do their internship and not be able to earn the credit they thought they were going to earn. So always refer a student back to us if they have questions about earning academic credit through an internship. A part-time job is not eligible for academic credit like an internship is. It's just, it's not, as we've gone through, it's a working experience as opposed to a work-based learning experience. And in order to earn academic credit, the student needs to meet, or the opportunity needs to meet certain criteria of an internship for a student to be able to use it as part of their progress towards their degree. So these are just some of the cornerstones of the differences between the two opportunities. So as you're looking at the opportunities you're hoping to promote to our students, feel free to kind of use this, take a picture of it, whatever it might be, as a gauge to how you might want to promote that to a student. If you are offering, finding that your internship, or excuse me, your opportunity is more of a part-time job and you would like to chat a little bit more about how or if you could turn it into an internship. I do all kinds of consulting with employers on developing internship programs, and I'd be happy to chat about that. So I will drop a few things into the chat. I will drop the FLSA about unpaid internships, the Fair Labor Standards Act, and then I will also put our office's email address so that you can get connected with me if you would like to discuss developing an internship or how to make sure that your the internship you'd like to offer meets our criteria for being classified as work-based learning. So thank you.
Thank you, Ashley. Okay, let's talk a little bit about some of the new things we've got going on this year. The first one is a new platform called Quad Jobs. And this is more for maybe you need a dog walker or a babysitter or a temp worker or a tutor or something along those lines, where it's not like a real part-time job, that like a more of a professional one. It's more of a looser, maybe a one-off kind of a thing. Quad Jobs is our new platform for that. And I know we get a ton of calls from the community to post those kinds of roles. So make sure that you connect with us through the quad jobs. Another thing we've got new going on is we are developing a professional clothing closet, and we are super pumped about it. We are about, what, 80% there to launch. And this link right here, if you want to take a picture of it, it's actually a crowdfunding link because we're gathering some funds to get things like steamers and racks and pull together some of the loose ends to get this off the ground. It's not open right now for donations, but they will be open to accept donations between August 16th and September 3rd. So that is a really exciting initiative on campus this year. Then we're doing a lot more mock interviews, and we're doing it on a larger scale. In the last year and a half, we've had to go virtual, which is somewhat limiting. And this year, hopefully, we're going to take it back live. So if you're interested in participating in mock interviews with students, please let us know or reach back into your chambers. Colleen with Fort Myers, Alex with Naples, or Dawn with Southwest Florida Inc. Those are your three great contacts to get involved in this bigger mock interview event, which will be November 10th. If you're excited about joining in and doing some interviewing with some students, that's another great way to get involved. And then we also are putting together a volunteer coaching program. This is really revolved around retired executives or professionals in their field who are wanting the opportunity to give back in a coaching, mentoring kind of capacity, a little bit beyond the Eagle Mentor program, because that's more about people who are still in the workforce. These are more people who are done and have a different kind of mission and opportunity with their time. So if that is you or somebody you know, direct them towards me as well. So that's another great opportunity to just know what we're doing here. One of the things that's really important that I want to point out is this is our main webpage, the Career Development Service one. And as you can see right away, there's 5 buttons that you can push. And right there is a big fat one that says recruit. So that is going to be your first line of where to go, or right below that is our main web email and our phone number. So please feel free to call us or email us as well. And we're going to post that in just a minute. The other thing I want to advertise, which is really important, is that we have all of our fall career events posted right now, and most of them are open to registration. That's really important to know, because we have our part-time job fair, which is coming up right around the corner, and that's for particularly part-time jobs like Ashley described. What is the difference? So you definitely want to come to that if you have a part-time need. And then we have our all majors career and internship fair. Like I said, our biggest event of the year that still has opportunities. It is filling up. It's probably 60% full, which means that if you're interested in that, I would get in there fast. And then our teacher fair. And then this is the November 10th mock interview day. Like I said, is that private event. But if you're interested, contact your chambers or myself, and we can get you involved in that. Okay, so you need to take a picture of this page too to get the dates. Go ahead and do that. Okay. And then this is how you contact both my office and Ashley's office. If you want to reach out straight to us or you want to reach out straight to Ashley, go for it. Here's the information. Again, take a picture of this page as well. And this is the building that I'm in, actually. And Ashley is right around the corner on the 2nd floor. So you can sort of see where we live. But what I'm going to do is let you take a picture of this. We'll drop this information again into the chat, but I want to get off of the screen share so that we can open up and have a conversation and some dialogue. Okay, so here we are back here. All right, so now is a wonderful time for questions. So if you want to unmute, we can start that way, or you can put your questions in the chat.
I just had a question. Are you going to have a PDF for this presentation available to us?
We can, yes.
That'd be great.
Mm-hmm.
And just make sure if you did not receive the link today, I'm pretty sure you already emailed me. That's how you got on here. Because we're not quite sure, but there was like 5 to 7 of you who did not. And so we will, once we create the PDF, which will be the PowerPoint that was shared, we'll share that out through the chamber, but just in case, I've got everybody that emailed me too. So Rose and Ashley remind me to get it out to everyone who emailed me today too, because for some reason they weren't in the chamber's email that went out. So definitely that will be there.
Sure, I can answer a couple of questions. Karen asked what Quad Jobs is like. Quad Jobs, you go in and you as the employer will pay per posting. I think, and it's not like very expensive. It's like $7 a posting.
That's what it said. I just looked at it, $7 a post.
And actually, Mary Larkin, our events and marketing coordinator, I think she's got some coupons for a free first post. So if that's of interest to you, we can get you those coupons for the free first post, and you post like babysitter or, helper, those are the kinds of jobs. So you can do that on that. I'm not gonna lie, it's a very new platform. So it's not like droves of students are going to it looking for stuff, but when they come back, there's going to be that question, right? They're going to say, where can I get just a babysitting job? Or where can I go for something like one-offs, those kinds of easy peasy kinds of roles. We will have a booth for our information about Quad Jobs at our part-time job fair so that our students will recognize it then and know that it's a place. So this would be a prime time to get your sort of odd job posted there. Does that help, Karen? Okay, good. And then how many students attend the part-time job fair? Ooh, that's tough. I'm trying to, I don't have off the tip of my fingers how many attended last year. And it was virtual last year. So the year before, I want to say maybe around 200-ish. I can double check that though, if it's a big concern for you. And but I mean, there's a lot of students coming back. They're excited to be back on campus. Like we're feeling a major surge of energy for students to come back. I know that's shifted a tiny bit with the latest Delta spikes, but I know that they're excited about that. The costs to participate in the job fairs, they're all a little bit different. Our big one, of course you would ask me that. I feel like it's, because we changed it a couple times. I think it's $3.95. My gosh, you really got me on the spot. Mary knows, and she is our person, but I think it's around $3.95 for our big fair, and the part-time career fair is less. I want to say $1.95 for that one. And do you have peak times most students show up to the part-time job fair? Is that what we're talking about here? Let me double check here. Yeah, it looks like it might be. We encourage students to go in the beginning, at least if you can't commit to the whole time. Is that kind of where I'm thinking maybe that's happening? If you can't commit to the whole time, I would say at least for the first 2 hours will be usually the biggest rush. We're doing all of our events from 10 to 2. So even through the lunch hour, probably that last hour will be the least exciting. Yes, Jess.
The only thing I wanted to say is because service learning also has a fair, don't think though that there aren't interested students. They have classes.
Right.
So if they're not coming at the beginning, oftentimes it's just because they have class.
Right.
So this is always my plea. It is ideal if it's from 10 to 2 that you're there from 10 to 2, because if a student has class up until 1 and then they finally get to make it to the part-time job fair and there's only 50% of the tables that are there, that student would love to have all of you there for all of the time so that they have the same opportunities as the people who just don't happen to have class first thing in the morning. So if you are registering for career fair or part-time job fair, it's ideal if you can be there for that entire duration of time, just because there will be, depending on when students have class, we want the opportunity to be there for everyone.
Yeah, and it is a Wednesday, so that is a big class day. So, Yep.
Can I ask a question?
Sure, go ahead.
No.
Hush, Renee. I have a question about the internship fair. What kind of stats do you have on actually having students sign up and actual participation with particular companies?
So the internship fair is the same as the career fair. So you're basically able to offer both types of opportunities at that. Tracking internships on campus is a difficult undertaking. I don't necessarily have rates of all students. One of the things about an internship is it generally ends up being the agreement between the student and the employer, and they may or may not sign up for a class along with it. But I can tell you anecdotally, I hear a lot of students who are offered and accept internships through things like our career and internship fair. Many students will, Rose and I will both be there the whole time, and many students run up and when they have a great interaction with an employer and talk about how excited they are. Some of them are offered internships that day if they're able to do a little bit more of an extended interview. Some of them are offered interviews after that, and we don't necessarily see that part of the process. But many students who sign up for my internship classes, many students who we see there do connect with an employer that they're very interested in either committing to or following up with and completing the rest of the process. So I can't give you necessarily a number or a percentage, I can tell you that, my qualitative research is that many students find internships that they are excited about or that they didn't even know existed, but ended up finding something, through getting to actually come up to a table and saying, wow, please tell me what's going on here. What do you have going on? And an employer might, find a great student who they hadn't yet reached. So,
Okay,
it is a high rate. Yes.
At the beginning, you mentioned, you're encouraging the student population for 80 hours of learning. And if internships is part of that, there should be some type of tracking device.
Oh, so for the service learning piece, that's an integrated into every student's educational experience through graduation requirement. So there's definitely documentation. Let me just tell you, there is a service learning fair. I was asked about when that is. That is on Monday, August 30th from 10 to 2. If you go to that link that I sent you, actually, I'm also going to put the service learning email into the chat because that is pretty much on a waiting list at this point, but there's a waiting list for a reason because sometimes people pull out and we want people to be there for our students. So yes, there's documentation and there's verification. As far as do we know the rate of connections that are made at the actual fairs? No, but I can tell you from being a faculty member that sends students to those fairs, that's where they find their partnerships. So if you're trying to build your brand, the best thing to do is to be at these larger fairs. Now, I do want to say if you're a nonprofit, not-for-profit, or government agency out there, we know your budget's not always the same. There is not a charge for the service learning fair, just putting that out there. And definitely I'm going to right now put in the chat the service learning email. So you can get started if you haven't already with the process of creating an agency profile, but reach out right away if you're interested in the service learning fair. Does that help, Kelly Jo?
It does. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I will also add that if you do offer an internship and have a student who engages in that, whether or not you are part of that tracking process may depend on whether or not that student decides to take an academic course along with it. Students are always welcome to put, we encourage every student to put every internship opportunity into the Eagle Career Network system so that we can, be a resource for them. We can, facilitate, verify hours and that type of thing. But because not all students are required to do an internship for academic credit, there are many that kind of fly under the radar, but we are out there promoting, make sure you put your internship into our system. So That's why it is a little bit harder to track.
Very well, I appreciate that. We're very specifically oriented, the arts and theater.
Mhm.
So, it might benefit us also to do one of what you were talking about, having the table in the specific locale
Yep.
for those students that might be majors in that area.
Yes, definitely reach out for sure.
Okay, thank you.
There's another question on the chat about majors that are not tied to an internship. So I'm thinking maybe actually the majors that don't have a required internship.
Yeah, there's actually many majors on campus that do not have a required internship. It would be easier to kind of list which ones do. The students who are required to do some sort of, professional work-based learning are generally our College of Education. Has a pretty, set opportunity there. If you would like to get in with them, definitely let me know and I can get you to that contact. Our communication majors, our environmental studies majors, our theater majors, those are some examples that do have, so it just really depends on the program itself. I will say this, all of our programs though, any student on campus will have an opportunity or does have an option to take a course, whether or not it's required. So my class on campus is open to any student. It is as an elective. So even if they don't have a required internship, they can still earn academic credit for me. So if that's something that you are, concerned about, there is an option for them to take a class. Our College of, another good example, our College of Business majors, actually, there are hardly any of them that are required to do an internship, but there is a culture of doing internships over there. So you might get a lot of students who do not have to, take a required course, but still know that that is part of their, it's an important part of their career trajectory. So if you have a specific group of students in mind, please let me know. I will say probably the majors that are not too tightly tied to internships are going to be in our College of Arts and Sciences. Generally, there's not too many that are required over there, but it's still important for them to do them. So anyway, if there's a specific group or a specific opportunity that you have in mind, I'm happy to talk to you more about those as well.
Can attest to, we've gone to meet the firms, I would say the past 8 to 10 years, and we get 2 to 4 interns from that fair every year. And it's been a great experience for us and the students. And we're usually fighting over them. All the local CPA firms in the area, like we have to turn around and get back to the student really quickly because they're already snatched up by someone else. So we have great participation as we attend to meet the firms, and I would say probably 75% of us in this building came from FGCU, and we got them at Meet the Firms. That's how they started with interns. So,
Laura?
yep, it's been a really good experience for us.
Great, thank you for sharing that.
Oh, and I wanted to say one more thing, ask one more question. So normally we only attend Meet the Firms. Do you think if we had internship availabilities throughout the year, we would go through the Eagle Career Network to post those?
Yes.
We do have an in with a couple of professors there because, like I said, most of us were taught there and we know people. And so we tend to call them up and say, hey, we have this opportunity, but would the Eagle Career Network be a good place to post stuff?
Yes. And that gives an equal opportunity as well to all of the students, which is
Right.
important. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
one other thing I'll add too is if you happen to say you're an accounting firm, right? And you happen to have other opportunities for internships in other departments, whether it's HR or marketing or anything like that, Eagle Career Network is also a really great place to get those opportunities out. So attending, Meet the Firms is obviously going to get you lots of accounting and finance students. But if you have those other opportunities, we want to make sure that we get those down, there's not going to be any marketing or communication majors at Meet the Firms. So we just want to make sure that, Eagle Career Network is a great place if you want to expand into other departments as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to make sure that we have a profile and stuff out there and that everyone here knows about posting to that also.
Thank
Great.
you.
And that profile is what gets you in the know of all of the other opportunities.
Yes.
Okay.
That's why it's so, and then there's regular communication between career development services, internships, and you in that role, right? So that's like the key. If you take nothing else away, make sure you have a profile within
Okay.
Google Career Network.
Yep, I'm gonna make sure we're out there.
Perfect, perfect.
That's why I was like pushing for the PDF, because I didn't write everything down.
No, we'll make sure that happens. Plus,
Okay, great.
you can bug me if you don't see it right away.
I will do that.
I think another big takeaway today is to build your brand, take advantage of all of the opportunities, right? Don't just say, well, I showed up at this one and, I did connect a little, but I'd like more. There are so many different ways that Rose shared with you. And if you're looking at just building on it and having that presence on campus, having that presence on social media, that's really just going to help. And the more students that connect with you, like I said, the more they tell their peers, their classmates, their faculty members. And that Eagle Career Network, though, allows anyone to search at any time. So helpful. So Rose, any closing words?
Nope. I was just gonna say, when you're at a career fair, also don't sit behind the table and look at your phone the whole time. I don't think these are the kinds of people that are gonna do that, but I just have to say it because sometimes we get them. And then they wonder why they don't get anyone talking to them. So.
And also come up and say hi to us because we will all be there. If you happen to see us in person, we would love that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, thank you everybody for coming today.